Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me. So before we get started, very quickly, the word for today is pește. 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 Sh. Well done guys, you just said fish. I think it kind of goes with today's video. And of course in today's video we are talking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard defamation trial, and in today's video I'm going to cover Amber Heard on the stand. Oh my god guys, seriously, it was a complete and utter torture watching Amber Heard on the stand. And she was on the stand on Wednesday and Thursday. I think on Wednesday was around 2 hours, but then on Thursday guys, oh my god, she was there on the stand for 7 hours in total, so it was a full day. And if I'm quite honest with you, I was really struggling to watch her on the stand. It was quite honestly absolutely draining, seriously guys. And I have been following this trial, as you know, and also I've been watching other YouTubers following this trial, and all of the ones that I watched are saying the exact same thing, how completely draining it was watching her. I don't even have any words, but I'm not sure that you would have the patience to sit down there and watch her for a full day on the stand. But luckily, hopefully, you know, cross-examination is next week, and hopefully we won't get to witness that much drama. Oh my god, I don't have words for it. As you can see, I'm stuttering here. I just don't have words for it. By the end of it, I was completely drained. Psychologically, mentally, physically, everything that you wanna think about. It was completely draining. Let's just, you know, try and cover more or less what was she talking about on the stand. I don't even know if she was talking about, if she was acting, but that acting of hers was just, it's safe to say that I think after this trial is finished, she just completely ruined her career, because being an actor, she should be acting better, so we shouldn't be able to tell that she's acting, but she's horrendously acting. It's, oh my god, I'm wondering how did she even get to play in the movies. I don't know what they are doing to show the actors playing their role, seem genuine and things like that, but they must be doing something on that set, because seriously, it was just completely awful. So on the first day on the stand, that she took the stand on Wednesday, she started off, you know, with genuine moments, so you can kind of tell by her body language when she's being genuine and when she's lying and when she's acting and when she's trying to be deceptive. So obviously that they will take her through her childhood, her history, how did she get to be an actress, how was her career before being an actress. So, you know, all these kind of things, kind of to set the base of, you know, how she's developing over time. So on the first day of her testimony, she obviously starts describing her life, her childhood, how she was helping her dad with the horses, and what she did to kind of get out of the small town that she was living in, and she took all these odd jobs here and there, and she also volunteered. And quite honestly guys, I am trying in my videos most of the time, if I can, to be unbiased. So I'm kind of trying to see both sides of the story here, and let's just say that I was trying to give Amber the benefit of the doubt, even though from the get-go I didn't really feel like she's being truthful and honest. But I said, okay, I'm just gonna give her the benefit of the doubt, just for the purposes of trying to be unbiased here, or not to side with only one side, you know what I mean. And there was a time in her being on the stand that I was under the impression that she seemed okay, right? She seemed genuine, she seemed like a really nice person. A really nice person at the beginning, right? But then there was a point where she said that she volunteered looking after children, and also she was working with deaf children, and she took it upon herself to learn sign language so that she can communicate with deaf children. I don't even understand why she used the term deaf kids, because to me it doesn't really sound like very nice of a way to put it. I think that it would have been much better and much better perceived if she would say maybe hearing impaired children. You know, I think that point for me was the kind of turning point, because I don't know, I just didn't feel like there's complete love and warmth when she said deaf kids, deaf kids. It doesn't sound right to me, does it? I mean, to me it doesn't sound right. I don't know about you guys, but to me it just doesn't sound right. And then she said, then Elaine, her lawyer, asked her why did she volunteer to look after children. And she said that she volunteered because she just wanted to do whatever she could so she can get out of that house. And she found that this gave her occupation throughout the day, so she doesn't have to be at home. That was another thing which I quite honestly didn't like. So, you know, if let's say before that I was thinking, oh look, she did it out of the goodness of her heart, you know, trying to care for people, trying to care for children, to just help out really. Then she blatantly says that she did it only to get out of the house, which I didn't take it very nicely, and I'm hoping that the jury saw that, because it just goes to show that she didn't volunteer because she's helpful and she's trying to be kind and genuine. She volunteered only to get out of a certain situation at home, which kind of benefited her. As far as I know, when you volunteer, if you don't do it out of the goodness of your heart, but you do it to just accomplish something or to just have it on your CV because it looks good, then it's kind of vain to do that. That's my opinion. So anyway, she goes through her life, then her career, having very small roles, and then she went on to say how she met Johnny Depp. So they met on the set of Rum Diaries, when Johnny Depp was the one who called her back to say that she got the role in the Rum Diaries, and that's where they first met, whilst filming the Rum Diaries. Like I said, because I have been trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, I was also trying to kind of analyze her behavior, you know, to look at her body language, to look at the way that she really behaved herself on that stand. And I kind of managed to figure out, in a sense, the times when she's being genuine or more truthful than deceptive, because most of the times on that stand she was being deceptive. However, there were a few instances where she kind of shows genuine emotion. So for example, when she was describing her relationship with Johnny at the beginning, I got the sense that she was kind of truthful, but I am not sure that she felt the same way that Johnny felt. But to me it seemed like she was kind of projecting, because the way that she described this, it would sound like something that Johnny would do, not something that she would do. It's just the character, you know.
Then we drank red wine and continued to talk, and the talking became us, you know, reconnect. You know, it was like reconnection was almost instant. It was just chemistry. It's hard to explain that, but we sat on the couch and we talked, and you know, it felt like there was it felt like there was an electricity to the room, and it's how I felt when I was alone with him anyway. And it was instant again. I was like, whoa. So on the couch, we talked, finished some wine, and then I got up and left. And as I went to leave, he grabbed both sides of my face, similar to what he did in Puerto Rico when we were filming that scene. And he kissed me, and I kissed him back.
And what happened next with respect to any relationship with Mr. Depp?
Well, then we fell in love. We went on this press tour, and we went. It was a beautiful and strange time. You know, we're flying from one, not together, but you know, going from one city to the next, Europe, New York, Los Angeles, as I said, and we're just traveling around talking about this movie that we did together, that we participated in together, and we were falling in love. I mean, it was just, you know, at the first dinner in London, he sat me next to me. You know, he produced the film and was a part of controlling the film and was responsible for different things than I was as an actor having a small part in it. And we went on this press tour, and I think in London he had me sat next to him at a dinner, and then we ended up spending the night together in my hotel room. And for the rest of the press tour, it was on. I'll put it that way.
All right. So when you returned to Los Angeles, what, if anything, took place with any relationship with Mr. Depp?
Well, once we were back from the press tour, you know, we had this, you know, whirlwind romance kind of just in these like beautiful places all over, and we're falling in love and not able to really show it because the world didn't know about the split between he and his former partner. And of course, as a woman, I was like, is that troubling? You know, and I'd ask him, no, you know, he swore to me that they hadn't even shared a bed for a year, and that they were protecting the kids and not publicizing it. So, or not making it known to the press. And so we kind of had to be a little bit under the radar, not a little bit, we had to be really under the radar, because as Johnny pointed out, that the world would blame me, and call me a homewrecker, even though I had nothing to do with it. So we were secretly dating, and then, you know, it was beautiful. It was, I felt like this man knew me and saw me in a way that no one else had. I felt he understood me. I felt he understood where I came from. I felt that, like, when I was around Johnny, I felt like the most beautiful person in the whole world. You know, it made me feel seen, made me feel like $1 million.
So anyway, I think that she showed genuine emotion when she described how they fell in love, what they did, how they were in their own bubble, and how they really enjoyed each other's company, how they would spend 3-4 days together, kind of hidden from the world. And then she also seemed to be quite genuine when she described how Johnny proposed to her. So this kind of makes me wonder, I'm not sure, is it because she's being genuine because she loved him and she was really looking forward to being married to him, or was she showing genuine emotion in the sense that she regrets that they ended up separating, they ended up divorcing? In a sense, I'm thinking that if Johnny Depp wouldn't stop his relationship with her, I think that she would still be with him. Another thing which is worth noting here is that at the beginning of her testimony, at the beginning of her being on the stand and describing their relationship and her impressions of Johnny, she kind of made sure to highlight from the beginning that he was extremely generous, buying her gifts, giving her a lot of attention, buying her lavish gifts, taking her on lavish trips, you know, taking her to his island, as if this, I got the sense that she only said that from the get-go about him because she was trying to point out that, look at him, he's a man in his 50s, she's a girl in her 20s, and look how he's trying to draw her to him by giving her all these expensive gifts, all these lavish places, you know, trying to even showering her friends with expensive gifts her family, her parents as well. And so I kind of got the sense that she was not trying to portray Johnny as being generous himself, but rather she was trying to show that Johnny was kind of buying her. Maybe I could use the word grooming her, if that makes any sense. Then also what I found interesting was the fact that she said, whilst they were in a relationship, before the media found out that he split from Vanessa, from his wife and the mother of his children, she kept on pointing out that they were hiding from the world. They were in their own bubble. They couldn't really be seen in public. And how he pointed out to her that if the public finds out about their relationship, then they are going to be blaming Amber for him divorcing from his wife. But she made it sound negatively, right? Now, you know, Johnny Depp, he's an actor known all over the world, right? And I think that when he said, if he said it to her, I think that when he said it to her so he protects her, because as we all know, with celebrities, with actors, with anyone who is very much in the public eye, when they have a marriage or a serious relationship and then there is a third person coming in, always that third person is getting the blame for the, you know, for the damage in the relationship. So it kind of makes sense, but she made it sound like it was a negative thing that she didn't realize at the time, but she was kind of thinking like, why? And this again makes me think that she had an ulterior motive for being together with Johnny Depp, because probably she believed that as soon as she is with Johnny Depp, then she's going to be seen around, you know, arm in arm with Johnny Depp, one of the most known actors in the whole world, and then her career will skyrocket because, you know, he's Johnny Depp and she's his girlfriend, right? And so I think that this is what she was expecting. She was expecting from the beginning to be in the public eye with him, to benefit her and her career, to give her more attention, because let's face it, before Johnny Depp, I had no idea who she was. Before Johnny Depp, I had no idea that she even played in Magic Mike. Did you know that she played in Magic Mike until she was on the stand? Because she said that she played in Magic Mike, but I've seen Magic Mike and she was never someone who you can give attention in a movie, if you get what I mean. And also when she got on the Rum Diaries, this is what set off her career, because she was all of a sudden in a movie with Johnny Depp. So she wasn't Amber Heard. She was someone who worked on the set with Johnny Depp, because no one had any idea who she was. And so that's how it started. But I don't think that she was happy to just be someone that Johnny Depp knows, because people, even now, I think if they wouldn't have divorced, I think that people even now would associate her with Johnny Depp, in the sense that they wouldn't say Amber Heard, but rather they would say Johnny Depp's wife, right? Because we all know who Johnny Depp is, whereas nobody knew who Amber Heard was. And also Johnny Depp mentioned in his, when he was on the stand, that the only reason why she got the role for Aquaman was thanks to him. So again, this with movie roles and all these kind of things that she's portraying negatively, I'm going to point out a few things a bit later on in the video. So again, going back to the over generosity of Johnny Depp, I think that when Amber saw the amount of money that he's spending on her and the amount of money that he has, right, and all the things that he can afford, she kind of saw this as a dollar sign. She is very adamant to emphasize all these kind of expensive things, expensive experiences, as if she is someone who was kind of looking to get these things, and that's the reason why she got with Johnny Depp. This is the impression that she gives me. When she talked about when Johnny Depp proposed, she pointed out that he gave her an enormous diamond ring. I mean, what was the point of saying that? You know, okay, he gave her a ring, fine, he gave her a diamond ring, but why would you need to say he gave her an enormous diamond ring, unless you kind of see these things as material? Because we know that in celebrities, and not only celebrities, a lot of women are not happy with their partners' wedding rings or engagement rings, and some women, they would even go the extra mile to say, oh, I don't like it, which I think it was Amber as well. I think that as far as I remember from Johnny's testimony, I think that she wasn't quite happy with the ring and she wanted to change the ring. Again, this shows me vanity. And there are a lot of women out there who expect their man, when proposing to them, to come up with a 3,000 pounds, 10,000 pounds diamond ring, diamonds, blitz, 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 whatever. That's all they see. I don't see it that way, honestly. Maybe it's just me, but I don't see it that way. I don't think that the value really matters. I think that the gesture matters more. I mean, if that partner of yours who is proposing to you can't afford a diamond ring, then what are you going to do? Are you going to not accept the proposal because he didn't bring you a diamond ring? What does that say about you? You know what I mean? This is just my opinion, really. And then I've also seen something which I found quite ridiculous, if I'm honest. So, for example, she was describing how when they went on his private island, she realized that he was drinking Becks and lots of tea, like lots and lots of tea, like lots of tea. She kept on emphasizing that. I don't get it. I just don't get it, because she kept on emphasizing that, and then she also said something to the likes of, but I realized later why he did it. So I don't know what she was trying to point out at here, because I don't see anything wrong with drinking lots of tea, like lots of tea, like the way she put it. It just doesn't make sense. What was the point of that?
He was drinking Becks and tea, but like lots of tea. And I didn't foolishly think anything of it. I just, thought the man really, seriously, I missed it before, but really, really loves tea. He was drinking a lot of tea, like a lot of tea.
What was she trying to show? That he was drinking lots of tea because he was an alcoholic, and he was drinking tea to kind of clear his liver from all that alcohol, because the alcohol was affecting his health. I don't know what she was trying to play here, but there are some really strange things which I didn't see any sense in her pointing out to these things. So we go to the day 2 of her being on the stand, which was on Thursday, and it was the last day of the trial before the break. So I'm gonna start with day 2, and I'm going to say that we should rename day 2 as Objection Day. Quite seriously, Objection Day. I mean,
Is the black on top or underneath the red?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation, leading.
I sustain the objection. Take her out.
Objection, Your Honor. Non-responsive.
Overruled. What he was saying to me hurt just as bad as anything else. Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor, to the first message. Excuse me, Your Honor, to the second.
You mean the response?
Right. Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Well, I think in the context, Your Honor, it's not offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted.
What's it for?
It's just telling the context of.
I'll sustain the objection. Thank you.
Please continue and just say what he says and what he did and what your observations were.
He was accusing me of having a man in the house with me. At one point in our conversations, I told him about how...
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Please try to continue without what you said, please.
He told me about...
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Well, we have to be careful about what other people told you, okay? But you can testify to what you know, okay? So what happened then?
Weed and coke. And then when he finished filming, the plan was to do
Objection,
the
Your
full
Honor.
detox.
Hearsay.
I was involved in the conversations with the doctors and with his sister.
Objection,
and
Your Honor.
nurse.
That's still hearsay.
All right, I'll sustain the objection.
That part is.
A nurse came to...
Objection, non-responsive.
I don't think it's non-responsive. She's explaining what led up to her tape recording him and why. I mean, I can ask it, well, that's all, but what?
And I knew he would not remember. And if
Calls for speculation.
She can say why she did it and what she thought.
But that last part called for speculation. I'll sustain the
Don't
objection.
say, I knew. Why did you tape record?
in my experience, when Johnny was that inebriated, he would not remember what he had done.
Calls for speculation.
How can that call for speculation?
I'll sustain the objection.
Get up off the couch, and Johnny's son says,
Objection, Your Honor.
You are
Hearsay.
not offered to prove the truth of the matter. It explains what's coming.
Give you a good approach. I just don't know.
one of these is like,
Objection, Your Honor. Non-responsive.
I think it's responsive, Your Honor.
The question was, with whom did you go?
If we could ask the question.
Tell us how you felt and what you were thinking in this process of whether to go to have Christmas with Mr. Depp and his children.
you know, I guess I was trying to explain
Go ahead.
that, you know, it just after you think each one of these is, it's almost like you, for each one of these things that happen.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Sustain the
It's not
objection.
offered to prove the truth of the matter, but
Sustain.
because you didn't have an accident. but-
Your Honor.
All right.
I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. And
Using coke, and they wouldn't put him under because of all the coke. So
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
All right. I'll sustain as the
Foundation.
last part.
Okay.
All right. Next question.
so when did you next communicate? When did you next see Mr. Depp after you got back from Australia?
I saw him a few days because things had changed, and without saying what they said to me,
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
She said without saying.
She's characterizing it.
I became really, really worried that
In that recording?
Yes.
Objection. Form. Lack of foundation.
I was in such shock and
Objection,
didn't-
Your Honor. Non-responsive.
Please tell us how you felt at that point and what Mr. Depp was saying to you.
I remember.
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
She was in the middle of responding to it, Your Honor, and Your Honor said,
It was
ask
a
a
different
question.
question, but I'll sustain that objection if you want to ask a question.
Mr. Depp did this.
Objection. Leading.
Sustain.
What if any reason do you believe that Mr. Depp did this?
Objection.
That was not.
It was just Johnny and I in that house over the course of those 3 days, roughly. At one point in our conversations, I told him about how,
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
like, you know, we're on an island. I'm trying to take care of him, and he was hallucinating and
Objection, Your Honor. Non-responsive.
screaming at me for things that I said when I didn't say any. I hadn't said anything. I would tell him, Johnny,
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Well, I think in the context, Your Honor, it's not offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted.
What's it for?
It's just telling the context of.
I'll sustain the objection.
Objection. Form. Compound.
I'll allow it, but just.
But I bargained with him.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay. I'm going to object to the exhibit as hearsay.
We've seen some really, really great objections from Johnny's lawyer, Camille Vasquez. I honestly really love that woman. She's the top of the top, honestly. And she objected so much at the beginning of Amber being on the stand on Thursday that Elaine, she kept on stuttering and stuttering and stuttering, and you could tell that she became quite frustrated because there was no way that she could, you know, put a question out there without getting an objection. I mean, even if we are not lawyers, I think that by now even we understand objection hearsay, objection foundation, objection non-responsive, objection compound, and all these kind of things. So that was, I was thinking, oh my God, this is just amazing, because Amber Heard on the second day, she was just full of and she was just going and going around in circles, repeating the same thing over and over again, not getting to any point of anything. I got the sense that in what she said, there was a bit of a seed of truth. But you know, when someone is trying to be deceptive, they usually start off with just a tiny bit of truth in there, and then they kind of build up the lie around that truth. And when she started building up the lies, you could clearly tell that she's lying, because there was no substance in that statement or in that particular answer of hers. So by the end of it, when you got to the end of her answering her lawyer's question, you were like thinking or asking yourself, what did she just say? Because I just didn't get anything out of it. So you are quite honestly tortured with 10 minutes of her answering a question, and by the end of it you are so drained that you are completely drained, but you are drained because she just didn't answer the question. She kept on going around the question. You know what I mean? I'm hoping that I'm explaining myself so you can understand me. So again, she keeps on mentioning Johnny and his generosity, and also she at one point said that even her best friend Rocky Pennington moved into the penthouse, and also her sister lived there for free. And Amber made sure to point this out, that this was due to his generosity, as if he was trying to again groom her. I think that this is what she was trying to point out, that he was trying to groom her and kind of keep her happy so that she would stay with him, because you know he's a 50-year-old something, she's in her 20s, so you know what I'm trying to say here. And the fact that Rocky Pennington moved into the penthouse, and the fact that also Amber Heard's sister moved into the penthouse, it makes me, well, I'm saying penthouse, but there were more penthouses, so I think that he had around 4 or 5 penthouses. So in the same building, he basically bought off the entire floor. So there are 4 or 5 penthouses which were his. He was using a penthouse with Amber. And then I think there were 2 or 3 penthouses which were empty. I know that at one point Amber was saying that she was using one of the other penthouses as her kind of walk-in closet where she would keep all her clothing and stuff. So basically 2 of the penthouses were actually empty. So she said that Johnny was very, very generous. And even though her best friend Rocky Pennington disagreed and her sister also disagreed, he still moved them into the penthouses. Again, I'm thinking here that that Amber was trying to take advantage of Johnny's wealth, knowing that if she tells him the right way, manipulate him the right way, then he would kind of do everything for her and everything to make sure that she's happy. This is what I'm getting from this. I think that she completely took advantage of this man, and she kind of got to know him and got to understand ways in which she can manipulate him into doing whatever she wants. I think that that's what was happening there. And not very long after her being on the stand, she really quickly jumped from all the positive things with Johnny with everything being negative. And I've watched some body language experts about experts who were commenting on her being on the stand, and all of the ones that I watched, they said that when you are on the stand and when from the beginning you just take a very, very short time to talk genuinely and honestly and positively about someone, and then suddenly you jump to all the negative things, this is a clear sign that you are being deceptive. So this is exactly what she did. She went, from the beginning, describing their relationship, very brief, I might say, very briefly. She described all the positive things and how they were happy and such things. And then very abruptly, she just went straight in with showing everything negative about him, all his negative behavior, all this violence, all this aggression, the shouting, the screaming, all these kind of things. So you didn't even get a full day of her being on the stand before she started bringing up all these negative things with Johnny. And I have to say, guys, we've already seen Johnny's testimony. We've already seen Johnny being on the stand. We have already seen the previous depositions of Amber and her behavior and the way that she spoke and everything else around it. And I will tell you one thing, from what I have realized throughout Johnny being on the stand, he was consistent with everything he said. His story never changed. his story never changed. He was genuine on the stand. He seemed very genuine on the stand. He got to the point of the question that he was being asked. Yes, he did describe it in a poetic way and things like that. However, he did get to the point of the question being asked, whereas Amber, you don't see the answer, you don't find the answer to what she's being asked. And it's very frustrating. And because she pointed these things out from the beginning about him being all negative and aggressive and, you know, alcoholic, taking drugs and these kind of things, it makes me question why, if you see him from the beginning of your relationship, why, if you see him the way that you see him, do you still accept to marry him? Now, on the stand, she pointed out that she did it because she loved him, she fell in love with him head over heels, or whatever the saying is, and she believed that she can change him and she believed that she can save him. This is typically what we all know from DV victims manual, if you will. Manual. I am saying manual for a reason. Manual. And I'll touch that a bit later on in the video. So anyway, yeah, he was bad, he was aggressive, he was all negative, he was alcoholic and such, but she still married him. Yeah, let's move on with this. So what I have noticed during her being on the stand, she's constantly checking the reaction of the jury, the reaction of the judge, the courtroom. She's constantly looking around, but mainly she's talking to the jury. So she just gives the lawyer enough attention just so she asks her question, and then when she replies, when she's on the stand, she's talking to the jury. Now, I would really love to know how the jury is reacting to everything that she's saying. Now, I know Law and Crime Network YouTube channel, they were the ones who were live streaming from the court, and I have watched a video where the reporter was saying that he was in the courtroom and he did see the jury reacting to Amber, and he said that the jury seemed very interested, so they didn't seem uncomfortable while she was keeping that eye contact with them. So I guess we'll have to see how it goes, and I guess that, and I'm really hoping that they will be able to see through her. Yes, I know that this talking to the jury kind of thing, it can also be strategic. It's possible that her lawyers instructed her to do that. So again, I can't really read too much into it, because we know that when you are on the stand, your lawyers usually train you and on what to say, how to behave yourself, and these kind of things. And again, with Johnny not looking at her while she's on the stand testifying, there can be two things here. One, like I mentioned previously, either that because he's the victim of DV, he can't face her, so he can't really look at her, and he doesn't want to give her attention because we know that she craved attention all the time, so he just doesn't want to give her that attention. So that's one point, which is very plausible, because when we know in a lot of cases with victims of DV, they rarely, you know, keep eye contact with the aggressor in the relationship, so that kind of makes sense. But then also there is a second possibility that perhaps his lawyers kind of trained him and told him, don't look at her, don't look at her, don't have any reactions, because the jury will be looking at you as well to see how you react to what she's saying. So, you know, there can be two possibilities here, but I am entertaining the idea that perhaps it's both. Perhaps that he's uncomfortable because he's the victim of DV, but then also he's trying not to look at her because of what the lawyers told him. Again, I don't know, but what I do know is that when you are a victim of DV, your aggressor, you are not going to be able to look at them, especially in a court setting. So yeah, I have covered in my previous videos on the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial about how she used his children against him, and also how she was trying to hurt him through his children and through his fatherhood. So of course that she brought this up on the stand, and she said that Johnny introduced Lily Rose, his daughter, to weed, and they got into an argument. Amber and Johnny got into an argument because of this, because apparently Amber was just trying to be protective of his kids, Lily and Jack. So going back to the weed situation, you know, I've just read an article today just before I started recording this video, and the way that this went with Johnny and Lily Rose was that, according to him, when Lily Rose was 12 years old, they got into a conversation about using weed, right? And Johnny told Lily Rose that if there will be ever a time where she wants to try weed out of curiosity, he would really appreciate it if she would come to him first so that he can introduce Lily Rose to weed rather than getting it from strangers in, you know, settings like clubs or in a group of friends or in a group of people that she doesn't really know. So I think that the point that Johnny made here made a lot of sense, but then Amber twisted it and turned it against him, saying that he was the one who introduced Lily Rose to weed. So it's not exactly like that, is it? Because the way that he said it and the way that he said he told Lily Rose, it just makes complete sense. Because, for example, when you buy weed or whatever drugs you buy, you have no idea what it's in there if you buy it or if you take it from someone that you don't know. Say, for example, in a club setting, right? It can be spiked with anything. So again, him saying that to his own daughter makes me understand that he's trying to show her that she can trust him enough to come to him first, and he will, you know, help her or whatever, if they want to smoke a joint later on when she's 16 or 17 or whatever. But are you following the point I'm trying to make here? So he was really just trying to make sure that if she will do it, then she will do it with him rather than doing it with strangers, if you get what I mean, which again, I think it's a very good thing from Johnny's side. And I don't know why Amber took it in a negative way, but I do know, actually. I don't even know why I'm saying I don't know, but obviously she's taking a seed of truth and she's kind of twisting it so that it benefits her, and I think that this is another example of her doing that. So as a parent, I think that we always try to protect our children, and as such, in this kind of things, we kind of want them to come to us first, rather than them trying something for the first time with strangers, which can have, in a lot of cases, deadly consequences. So I think that this is what he was trying to do here. And Amber mentioned another instance when Johnny argued with her because she didn't agree to Lily Rose's crush to spend the night. Now, Lily Rose's crush, according to Amber, was an 18-year-old boy and he was a musician. But Lily Rose was 16 years old at the time, and that's what Amber said, that Lily wanted her crush to spend the night over. Johnny agreed with that in Amber's terms, but then Johnny argued with Amber when she was the one who didn't agree to it, and they got into an argument and then a fight and then the slap or hit or whatever, because in all her stories it's always only slaps, hits, choking, pushing, shoving, kicking, yeah, these kind of things. So again, he was 18, she was 16 at the time. If indeed it really happened that she was trying to get her crush to sleep over in the house, I don't see it, I do see it in a way negatively, because she's 16, he's 18, but then on the other hand, apart from only Amber and Johnny being in that house, Johnny has staff around, Johnny has security, Johnny has a lot of, Johnny has employees, so they are never alone with themselves in that house, so there will always be someone on hand. And it wasn't like the boy was sleeping in her room, so he would have had a separate room to sleep in. And quite honestly, I don't believe it. I don't believe that Johnny agreed to the boy sleeping over. But then if I am to entertain the idea that yes, he said that and he agreed to him spending the night over, I think that he did it because he knew that his daughter Lily will be protected. And now, of course, that Elaine will try to bring again the ex-assistant that was very negative towards Amber. And of course that Amber, in this instance, she tried to discredit her ex-assistant. Yes, she tried to discredit. She described her ex-assistant as being a troubled woman, as drinking on the job, and she said that because of these particular reasons she had minimal contact with her assistant, which again doesn't make sense to me, because when you have an assistant as a celebrity or whatever, then your assistant is most of the times with you to assist you in whatever you need. Yet again, she said that she maintained minimal contact with the assistant, which I kind of don't buy it. And then she also pointed out that the assistant, she was so high or whatever she was, that she stopped the car in the middle of the road. She left her kids in the car with the doors open, kind of trying to show that look at how irresponsible she is, and her conduct around her children. So all these kind of things, she was trying to discredit the ex-assistant. And of course, I expected that she will try to discredit anyone that testified as a witness negatively towards her. I think that's the strategy that they are going for. And talking about her ex-assistant, of course, that Amber will also talk about Johnny's employees, of course. And of course that she made a point to say that all Johnny's employees reported to Johnny, so Johnny was paying them, they were employed by Johnny, so then of course, therefore, all of his employees will be siding with him because they are paid by him, they are employed by him. So she goes on to describe all these aggressive situations between them two, and how everybody saw that, but nobody did anything. So his employees saw him being aggressive towards her, but they never did anything to help her. They were just standing there doing nothing, and kind of like trying to point out that she wasn't helped by the employees because the employees were employed by Johnny. This is kind of like what she's trying to portray here. But then again, speaking about his employees, I find it very interesting what she says, because we already know by now that she said about the employees that all the employees are hiding with Johnny, that all the employees are siding with Johnny, and she was alone in all of this, yet she was not scared enough to sneak James Franco into the elevator. It doesn't make sense. Then all of the instances where she describes Johnny as being overly jealous of her, that accusing her sleeping with people on set, that she worked on the set, and that how she would dress, and he didn't agree with the way that she dressed, and he called her, and all these kind of things. Now the thing with Amber is, if we are to consider BPD or no BPD, or just the way that Amber is, we already know, it's quite obvious that she looks for attention. She strives to get attention, and she will do anything and everything to make sure that she indeed will get the attention that she wants. So I think that in the jealousy side of things, there was a seed of truth that Johnny was perhaps jealous of her. But I think that he was jealous of her because she made him jealous. She made him jealous. When she felt that she doesn't have enough attention from him, she would do all these kind of things to just make sure that she gets him jealous enough to give her more attention. Like, for example, after they had an argument, that's when Johnny left the penthouse, right? And he wasn't there for the night. And that's exactly when she got James Franco in that elevator. Because Johnny left the argument, he left out of the penthouse, she was left there alone, she didn't have his attention anymore, and so she thought, and I'm pretty sure that she knew she will be caught on the CCTV getting him up there. So of course that Johnny would be jealous, because why would you sneak another man in the elevator of the penthouse that he owns, where you live together? Why would you do that? I think that she was looking for attention, and when she didn't get that attention, she made him jealous. The same thing goes with the way that she dressed. I think that, again, when she was looking for attention and Johnny didn't give her enough attention, she would kind of dress, how can I call it, maybe more revealing than usually, just because she wanted to get his reaction. And because again, she was looking for attention, and she knew that if she goes to an event and she wears clothing too revealing, then she will get more attention, then he will become more jealous. You know, this vicious circle. I think that she was so thirsty for that attention that she would just do anything and everything to make sure that she gets the attention from Johnny. This is the way I'm reading into this whole thing. So going to the point of the prenup, Amber said that she was the one who brought up the prenup, and then when she brought up the prenup to Johnny, Johnny said that he would just tear it up and that the only way out of the marriage would be death. However, I need to point out here that when she said the only way out of the marriage would be death, she said it in a very negative way. She was trying to portray Johnny as being this violent person and being capable of killing her if she leaves the marriage. This is exactly the thing that she was trying to portray here. She was trying to feed this to the jury, to the courtroom, to everyone else. And I don't think, from my point of view, I don't think it really worked, because we know Johnny to be sarcastic. We know Johnny to make jokes. We know Johnny to handle different difficult situations with laughter, with making jokes and these kind of things. And so I think that when Johnny said, if he did say that, I think that when Johnny said the only way out of the marriage would be death, he was being sarcastic and he was joking. But obviously she will point this out as the violent nature of Johnny. Going back to James Franco, she also described how after shooting in New York with Franco for a film, on the plane to LA, she said that Johnny at one point was howling like an animal, and he passed out in the plane's bathroom with the door locked. So, picking it apart, it might be that I'm just picking apart word by word without it having any kind of meaning to it. However, he passed out in the plane's bathroom with the door locked. So how can you pass out? How can you have the door locked when you are passed out in the bathroom? Doesn't make sense. He was howling like an animal. They even played a recording of that, an audio recording of that, and there was no such thing as Johnny howling like an animal. In fact, let's just play that recording.
And he continued to drink, and then eventually started howling like an animal and passed out in the bathroom with the door locked, and was howling. And I at some point pushed record on my phone because keep an eye on it.
You can just hear someone moaning. Maybe he was in pain, maybe he was detoxing at the time, and this is how, you know, the reaction would be from the detoxing. We don't know what happened on that plane, right? So for her to say that he was howling like an animal, I don't know what she was trying to get out of this, but this is not the first time that she's saying it, and she keeps repeating like how Johnny always howls like an animal. The instance with the dog and the car, if you remember in my previous video, how Johnny was howling like an animal, and then he put the dog out of on the window of the car, and then how panicked she was that he will drop the dog, blah 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 blah. And then we got to TikTok video where the fans were pointing out that that's the scene where she took the inspiration from, of her actually being quite happy in the car and her holding the dog out the window. So yeah, again, howling like an animal. He passed out, whatever he did, she's trying to show and portray Johnny only negatively. He wasn't howling like an animal. I mean, you've heard the recording. He clearly sounded like he was in some kind of a pain. And by this point, I am already fed up of it. But also are Johnny's lawyers, in particular Camille Vasquez. She is just not having it. She's not having this. She's constantly objecting for hearsay, compound, foundation, non-responsive. However, later on, Johnny's lawyers will stop objecting, and you will see why in just a minute. For now, I'm just going to say about the non-responsive objection. Quite honestly, guys, I felt complete relief when I heard Camille Vasquez constantly objecting on the grounds of non-responsive. I was like, yes, finally, I get a bit of a break in my brain, because is just ridiculous. It's just going on for so long, and there's just not getting to the point. They're just not answering the question, and finally they say non-responsive. Finally, and at one point they catch up on it because they don't have a choice at this point, because it's objection after objection after objection. I'm telling you guys, day 2 should have been called objection day, because it was indeed objection after objection, because she would just not get to the point. It will constantly be hearsay from what other people told her, from what she told other people. Then there will be no compound to the question being asked. There was no foundation. But anyway, when I saw the trial on Thursday, I actually thought to myself, perhaps Johnny's lawyers just stopped objecting because, you know, they just got fed up of keep doing it, but they didn't. That's not the reason why they stopped objecting. So before I go on with the reason that I believe they stopped objecting, I just want to point out one thing here, guys. You've seen Amber Heard wearing the glasses off and on again, right? And even when she was on the stand, she was wearing the glasses on and off. Now I'm thinking to myself, and I'm wondering, are those glasses maybe blue light glasses? Like the ones you would use when you use your computer for too long, and you know, you kind of try to protect yourself from the blue light, the UV, whatever, you know, the computer emits the screen. So I'm thinking, are those maybe not blue light glasses, and she's just trying to look smart and that she needs glasses and kind of copying Johnny? I don't know, what do you guys think? I could be wrong. They could be, you know, eyesight glasses, but I just find it weird that she is using them only at certain times, and she's using them, she's not using them all the time when she's looking at the screen of the computer. She's just using them very randomly. So I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. And now this, if you are following the trial, or if you are following clips on social media in general, I can tell you that TikTok is full all over the place with clips of Amber putting something in her nose. Now, a lot of people are saying online, a lot of, you know, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever, that she's actually snorting coke. But honestly, guys, I don't think that's the case. I don't think she's snorting coke, because she's in court. It would be too obvious and she wouldn't be able to get away with it. But I do think that she is putting something up her nose. I do think that she's snorting something, but it's not coke. I think that she is snorting something like, you know, vapor rub, the menthol ointment. Or I even did some research into it, and I found out that actors, some of them who can't cry when they are doing a role in a movie, they use menthol stick to make them cry. Now these menthol sticks, it looks like a lip gloss, if you will. So what they normally do is they kind of rub the menthol sticks underneath their eyes to make the eyes tear up. And I also remember very clearly that when I had a really bad cold, I think that when I had the virus last time, my nose was blocked really bad, and I used vapor rub here on my nose so that I can inhale the menthol, and it unblocked my nose. So I think that she's either using a bit of this stick onto her tissue, because obviously using a stick, it would be too obvious. So I think that she smeared some of it on her tissue and she is using it, and that's the reason why she's got this motion.
And Your Honor, I'm going to be referring to the last two blue spots on that page with the state of mind. Mental condition.
All right.
It's still hearsay, Your Honor.
Where she takes the tissue and you can clearly see that she's pushing it in her nose, and then she's snorting it. So she's getting something in her nose. I'm not sure if it's menthol stick, because menthol really smells, so I think that it would be quite obvious in court. However, she could be very well using something like ginger, because ginger, I think, that has similar effects apart from the smell, so she could be using that. But from my point of view, I 100% believe that she's using something on that tissue because she's just not wiping her nose normally, like you normally wipe your nose. Then also we have that thing, oh my god, I can't believe it, I keep seeing it and seeing it, and I keep asking, why did she do that? Let's play the clip.
Everyone was just having a good time, you know, like normal stuff. So I just smiled, made a joke about how trashed the trailer got, and we had to get the manager, who started off furious that Johnny had wrecked the thing. And then he had this like black mesh tank top, not tank top, it was like a meshy kind of shirt on. And I remember he came into the trailer and looked around and was like, whoa, what happened here? Whoa. And Johnny had an exchange with him. And I remember watching this man be so charmed. It was just a kind of a surreal experience. And, you know, it just went away. You know, that just got fixed. We walked out of the trailer at some point. My dog stepped on a bee. We went to the vet. My dog stepped on a bee. We went to the vet.
Really, what's up with that? What's that? I have no idea what that is. So yeah, seriously guys, what's up with that? I mean, she's talking about her dog being stung by a bee, but bee... I don't understand. I don't know what's happening, but this woman, I think, in my honest opinion, she's completely bonkers. She really is, I think. All those faces that she makes on the stand is just impossible to take her seriously. So now, you know, Ellen got to the point where she's showing Amber a photo of a table where you can see all of these things on the table. And this is where Amber is actually saying that Johnny had a jar of cocaine. A jar of coke. Yes, guys. I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard of someone having a jar of coke, unless he had a jar of flour and then she twisted it around saying it was a jar of coke. I have no idea, but it's very funny because, again, I'm going back to TikTok, where TikTokers kind of compared what she says, jar of cocaine, with a jar of dirt, what Johnny Depp said when he played the Pirates of the Caribbean.
He was drinking, and I didn't realize at the time, but I think he was using cocaine because it was like there was a jar of cocaine out on the table. I realize that sounds weird, but it's like an actual vintage jar of it.
Look what I got. I got a jar of dirt, I got a jar of dirt, and guess what's inside it?
So yeah, that's kind of maybe picking pointers from here and there, and then introducing them into her own story. I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. Honestly, I don't know what's going on in her head. I have no idea. So again, I'm going to point out here what I already pointed out in my previous video on this. I'm 100% certain that she's checking the media, and I'm 100% certain that she's checking media articles, either that she's doing it personally or somebody is telling her what the headlines are saying, which she shouldn't be doing it, because the judge was very clear that whilst she's on the stand as a witness, she is not supposed to be going on social media, she's not supposed to be reading articles, looking at videos, looking at clips, anything to do with the case, because she's on the stand. But I think, guys, allegedly, in my opinion, I think that she is checking all the headlines that are going on about her. And the reason why I'm saying this yet again is because after her testimony on Tuesday, a lot of people were saying in the media that she's very fake. She's fake crying, there are no tears, she never used any tissues on Tuesday whilst being on the stand, even though she pretended to be crying, but there were no tissues inside. Then come Thursday, there she was on the stand using tissues. There she was on the stand trying harder and harder to cry with tears, which again emphasizes my theory that she indeed had something on that tissue to make her cry, or at least try. There is another interesting thing that Amber Heard said, and she said that because she was having a hard time dealing with how Johnny was behaving and his alcoholism and his addictions, she attended support group for people who love addicts and alcoholics. And I found that quite interesting, because out of all the things that she says, right, about how Johnny is, his aggressions and his violent behavior and, you know, everything that he's telling her and he's doing to her, allegedly, according to her, she chose to go to a support group for people who love alcoholics and addicts. Yet, herself, portraying herself as a victim of DV, she didn't go to find a support group for victims of DV and how to kind of deal in this kind of situations, but she found it appropriate to go to this kind of groups for alcoholics, for people who love alcoholics and addicts. Which one is the worst, you know? And she had the means and she had the money, resources, so she could have potentially attended both, but she chose to attend for people who love addicts and alcoholics, which doesn't make any sense. Okay, I really need to address this because by now it's already all over the place. So I know that people mean well, and I know that people mean to point out what Amber Heard is doing. So there are a lot of rumors circulating online that Amber Heard is quoting movies. Now, I entertained the idea on 2 occasions, and I actually did research. So a lot of users online are saying that Amber Heard is inspired herself from the Gone Girl character of Amy, and that's how she came up with the story of the SA with the bottle. Now again, guys, I took the time to actually watch Gone Girl because in my previous video I haven't watched it, but I actually watched Gone Girl this time. And yes, as much as I agree with the storyline in the movie being similar in the sense of the SA and the bottle and some other things that happened in the movie and some things that Amber is also mentioning on the stand, I think that, I will be honest with you, the things that Amber is describing happened to her are very generic to put it down to a particular movie. So it's kind of a general thing. Yes, whilst I know that being essayed with a bottle is not what happens usually, however, it's not unheard or unknown of. And so I can't really say that she took the inspiration from Gone Girl. I mean, there is one good point here that Gone Girl was released in 2014 and they went through their divorce in 2016. So it kind of gives her, you know, enough time to kind of look at the movie and take inspiration from that and, you know, mix it into her own story. It makes sense, yes. Can I say with certainty that she did get inspired by the movie? I have no idea. All I can say is that the things that she's mentioning, yes, some of them are in the movie, but also it's very generic to point out at a certain movie. And there were a lot of movies that people are, you know, kind of pointing out that she's quoting from. But again, the wording that she's using is generic and is very general, and you can't really pinpoint that particular sentence that she's using to a particular movie because it can be used in so many instances. So from that point of view, I want to be fair and to say that no, is not the case. As much as I don't like her, I still want to be fair when I say certain things. Then also the second most important, and this was quite important to me to research and double check, the fact that a lot of users online have said that she is plagiarizing the talented Mr. Ripley in her being on the stand when she describes her relationship with Johnny. Again, guys, I went down the rabbit hole and I checked this for myself, and I actually purchased the movie on Amazon Prime and I watched it 2 nights ago, I think it was. And I can tell you, in the whole length of the 2 hours long movie, which was very interesting one, so I highly recommend you watch that movie, because when I first purchased it, when I bought it, I actually paid £7 for it, around $6.99. I said, my God, I'm just gonna waste my money because definitely I'm gonna hate it completely. However, it has an amazing and very interesting plot, and yes, I can say that I thoroughly enjoyed watching the movie. So if you want to spend your money on a movie, I highly recommend you spend your money on this one because it's a really good watch. It really is. And I can also leave the link for it in the description down below from Amazon Video. So going back to the movie, The Talented Mr. Ripley, she didn't plagiarize the movie. I can tell you that much because I have watched the movie word by word, the full length of the movie, and she didn't use the words used in the movie when she described her relationship with Johnny. So I know that this has already been debunked, and it's been put out there online already by you know, a lot of big media outlets such as the Independent, Daily Mail, and even a fact-checking website. And when I saw that, when I read the article from the Independent saying that it's fake and that she didn't plagiarize the movie, I was thinking to myself, you know, these big media outlets, they can be quite bullshitty sometimes. And so I want to make sure that I get it right, and I want to make sure, and I want to check it for myself before I believe what they say in the articles. So that's exactly what I did, and that's exactly the same reason that I went ahead and I bought the movie so I can watch it. So again, as much as I would love to say that she copied everything in this movie, and she said it on her being on the stand, that's not true, because she didn't copy that thing from the movie. She was using completely different wording and completely different description of how her relationship with Johnny was. And again, from my point of view, I couldn't pinpoint what she said to a certain movie, in this case, The Talented Mr. Ripley. Yes, there are similarities. Yes, it can sound similar. However, in so many different situations, it sounds similar anyway. So even when I talk to you, or you talk to me, or you send me a comment, or you say some things, like something which is, let's just say, cheesy, for example, is cheesy for a reason, right? Because it kept on being used, and so then it sounds cheesy. And so movies also will use these same things because it sounds cheesy, however relatable and popular, right? This is my take on it. So now I want to go back now to the reason why I believe, and I've also consulted with some lawyers online, why I believe that Camille Vasquez stopped objecting to Amber Heard on the stand. When Amber Heard was on the stand, she brought up a conversation, an incident with her sister involving Johnny Depp, and how she thought that Johnny Depp will push her sister down the stairs, and she instantly remembered Kate Moss and the stairs. This is very important from a legal point of view, so keep it in mind, Kate Moss and the stairs. At the beginning of this trial, the judge was clear when she said that no past relationships of Amber and Johnny could be brought in as evidence. That's inadmissible as evidence in court. So they can talk about their relationship with themselves, I mean together, but they can't talk about their previous intimate relationships. So what Amber did when she said Kate Moss and the stairs, she opened the gate. Or in other terms, she opened the door. But the door to what? Because she herself brought up, whilst being on the stand, Kate Moss and the stairs. Now, Johnny's lawyers, they have a reason to go into Amber's previous relationships so they can gather evidence and rebut the accusation. This is how it works in court. So even though evidence from previous relationships is inadmissible, and the judge pointed that out from the get-go of this trial, now because Amber Heard brought it up herself whilst being on the stand, it gives the opening to Johnny Depp's lawyers to bring in evidence to rebut what she's saying on the stand. So it could be that Kate Moss, I'm not sure that she will be called as a witness, I don't believe they can do that, but I do think that a form of evidence could be Kate Moss giving a statement, Kate Moss giving a statement speaking out about the allegations and these kind of things. And also it's very notable here that what else opened the door for Johnny Depp's lawyers was not only to Amber Heard's previous relationships, but also Amber Heard's previous accusations of DV, and we already know that she has some, and she was charged, and then obviously there were no charges pressed against her, but she was arrested for DV with her former partner, the photographer, which I keep forgetting her name, but the photographer. So yeah, this opens the door for these two things. For Kate Moss to rebut the allegation, and so they need to bring evidence of that, so they can bring evidence of that, and then they can touch her previous DV relationships. And this, I think, is enough for the jury to see that indeed she is because she had other victims. Whereas in all his career, Johnny Depp's career, and how many girlfriends he had over the years, nobody came forward to say that he was being aggressive, so he kind of goes here against Amber. I think that her lawyers instructed her not to talk about Kate Moss, the Kate Moss situation, but I think she didn't listen to her lawyers, because the lawyer, Elaine, she has not a very good reaction when she hears Amber saying about Kate Moss, because her lawyers knew that this will give opportunity for Johnny Depp's lawyers to bring up past relationships. But I think that Amber was being cocky here, and she believed that she needs to tell the whole story out there and she's not gonna get affected by anything. But I think that she just dug up her own grave. That's what I think. Because now, not only they can go into her past relationships, but now they have 1 week, Johnny Depp's lawyers have 1 week available to them to dig even deeper and to get even more and more information and evidence. Oh my God. I cannot wait for the cross-examination. I can't wait to see the cross-examination. They will crush her. I'm 100% sure that she will be crushed on that stand, because she's lying and lying and lying, and she's getting caught in her own lies, and she doesn't realize it. This is what happens when you lie, honestly. You just don't realize you're lying. But I'm hoping that the jury and the judge can see this. Some other things that Amber Heard talked about was about Johnny when he was detoxing, and how he took a larger amount of pills than he should have taken. I think there is a bit of a truth here, because as far as I remember, Dr. Keeper mentioned that as well. It was when he was detoxing from the oxycodone, I believe, and they still gave him a dose of it, but he was lying that about the dose that he took, and so he took even more than Dr. Keeper suggested. And I think this is what Amber Heard was trying to point out. Another thing which I find very interesting, and it quite honestly gives me the creeps here. It's very convenient how Amber Heard, she had photos of instances of everything. Very, very convenient. So again, I'm going back to my original idea that perhaps she planned this from the beginning, and she triggered Johnny, and she set him off before she took these photos, before she took these audio recordings and such, because she was planning. I think that she was planning to do this from the get-go, and so she kept on gathering and gathering and gathering more things over time, because otherwise, who in their right mind would think from the beginning of their relationship to start recording and taking photos of everything? I would never think about that. Unless, of course, I would have an ulterior motive to do it. So Amber Heard also mentioned about the Bahamas trip and Johnny's detox in the Bahamas, where she said that, again, she was trying to make it look like a very negative thing, but how she was trying to be there to help Johnny, and how he was thanking her for doing that, right? So she said that Johnny was crying, he was angry, he was up and down with his moods, he was aggressive, he was frustrated, and then he wanted more sex than usual, which she found it strange. I don't know what's the point of bringing that in at this point, that he wanted more sex than usual. What's the point of that? Again, I kind of see traits of an aggressor here, trying to diminish the victim, to demean the victim even more by saying these kind of things. So anyway, Amber darling, you know that he was detoxing, so you should expect this kind of behaviors: crying, frustrated, angry, being up and down, his mood changing constantly. Of course, when you are detoxing, this is what happens. But what she was trying to show here was that, oh my God, she was being so helpful with him. Yeah, this is how he repaid her for being the supportive wife that she was, for taking care of him. But then I'm not buying it from her, because the way that she said it on that stand was as if it wasn't her being supportive and helpful because Johnny was her husband and it's kind of your duty as a wife to do that, but she That's how I felt about it. She put it out there like she was forced to do this, like it wasn't her job to do it, you know, because, you know, she wasn't a professional, she wasn't a nurse, but she did it because she loved him and she wanted to be there for him. But then again, it wasn't her job really to do it because she didn't know how to handle these things. So again, it just goes to show from my point of view that she didn't do it out of the goodness of her heart because she supports her husband and she loves her husband, but she did it because she was forced. Although she was not a professional or a nurse, she still did it. Just like she pointed out at the beginning of their relationship, not at the beginning of their relationship, but at the beginning of her when she started working, that she volunteered working with hearing impaired children, and she only did it to get out of the home. Again, this kind of thing. So it shows me, it gives me the vibe of her being a very selfish person, very arrogant, very vain, and she only sees her side and only her side. Again, you can see the issue with the tissues. I am pointing this out again because I think that this is very important. I honestly believe that she was snorting something out of her tissue. Again, it's very weird motion, and this is not how you would wipe your nose normally, and you can clearly see that she's pushing the tissue inside her nostril and then she's sniffling. That to me just doesn't sound normal, just doesn't seem normal. And here is the same time where she I believe is posing for the camera.
And after you both returned to LA,
Now we already know that she has a new PR team, so I believe that someone from her PR team or someone paid by her PR team was in the courtroom, and I think that she knew they were in the courtroom, and so she was wiping her nose, pretending like, oh, she's crying and things. Remember the previous headlines where people said that she wasn't crying, she wasn't using tissues. So now she's using the tissue, she's fake crying, which doesn't even work because there are no tears, and she is sitting still, posing. You can see the light from the camera on there. There were also instances of text messages being shown between Amber and Johnny, and she was trying to point out that this was his reply after an argument. Like, he would be constantly apologetic, he would constantly say that he loves her, he would blame himself for everything, and yeah, she would say that that's why she would always accept him back, because he would ask for forgiveness and these kind of things. Quite honestly, from the text messages between them that I read, the ones which were pointed out by Elaine in court today on Thursday, I never got the sense that she's the victim from the messages. I more got the sense that Johnny Depp is the victim of DV from the text messages. Mainly why I'm saying is because constantly blaming himself for everything. He's constantly asking for forgiveness. He keeps on emphasizing how much he loves her. And the way that she replies to these text messages is not the way that a victim of DV would reply to text messages sent by their aggressor while still being in the relationship, like saying that she loves him more than life, that she doesn't want to live without him, and this kind of thing. So I'm kind of seeing it differently. I don't know, how do you feel about it, but this is just the way I'm seeing it. Now, she's constantly making herself seem or sound like she's the hero of Johnny Depp's sobriety. Yes, that she's the hero for helping him, for supporting him, for being there for him. She's taking credit for helping him. Like I said, if you help your husband to get through a struggle of addiction, for example, let's say, you help your husband because you are being supportive as the wife, as someone that loves him genuinely, and so you support him. When you get to the point of pointing out these things, that she's helping him, she saved his life, then you don't do it selflessly, you do it for your own gain. This is how I see it. When someone does something from the goodness of their heart, they don't They don't point it out. They don't emphasize it. They don't spread it about to different people, because they do it out of the goodness of their heart. So they are not looking to achieve anything. However, Amber, she keeps saying it and saying it and saying it as if it's not, she shouldn't do that because she's supportive of her husband, but she's doing it because she's the hero of the story, right? She's the one that saved Johnny Depp's life. If she wouldn't be there, what would happen with him? She saved him from the addictions. She saved him from the drugs. She saved his life, basically. She's the hero of the story. But I think that she is in fact projecting. I think that a lot of things that I think a lot of Johnny's behavior towards her, she's projecting it, and she's saying that it was her behavior towards Johnny, but it was Johnny's behavior towards her, the affection, the show of love. Now she's also saying that she was the one who left the argument, when we've already heard Johnny's testimony on the stand, and we've already heard the audio recordings where he's the one leaving the arguments. But now she's saying that she's the one leaving the arguments. You see, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. We know that at one point Amber got Debbie, the nurse, from Johnny. So Debbie was already working with Johnny, and so Dr. Keeper was also working with Johnny. And Amber is saying, but she's saying in a very negative way, right? She's saying that because of his controlling behavior, because of Johnny's controlling behavior, she got Debbie, the nurse, to be her travel companion so that Debbie could keep tabs on her. Again, she's trying to emphasize his controlling behavior, and also the fact that Debbie is employed by Johnny, and so she will go, back to Johnny telling him everything about what has happened. So she was not very happy that, Johnny gave her Debbie, the nurse. But again, I'm gonna repeat myself again and again. Johnny Depp is an actor. Johnny Depp has staff for everything. He has employees for everything. Doctor, nurse, bodyguard, the security staff, person of the house, cleaners, all these kind of people, because he's not a person like me and you, for example, where we have pain, we go to the hospital. We have pain, we go to the GP. We want to buy a painkiller, we go to the pharmacy. No, they can't do that, because he is so well known. He wouldn't be able to go anywhere without someone there. So of course that he's going to have a nurse, of course that he's going to have a doctor, and these kind of things. And of course, being that Amber is in a relationship with him, he will employ these people to look after her as well, to protect her, not to control her. I don't see it that way. I don't see it as him controlling her. I see it as him protecting her, because she's Johnny Depp's wife. And so being Johnny Depp's wife comes with negative things, such as you have obsessed fans, you have people following you, they want to know where you live, they want to take a selfie with you, they want to do all these kind of things. So you also have creeps about. So of course that he was trying to protect her. This is how I see it. Again, I want to go back to the messages, the text messages between Amber and Johnny. Most of the messages that Elaine is trying to show are trying to portray, Johnny in a negative way. But all I'm seeing from these messages, I'm seeing a kind man, I'm seeing a sweet person, a very loving person, talking to his wife very lovingly. He makes sure to express his love. And not only that, but I'm also seeing a victim of DV here. Johnny being the victim of DV. He takes the blame on him for everything, as we already know victims of DV do, because they are so manipulated by their aggressors that this is what they know. So he takes everything on him. He takes all the blame of everything on him. He apologizes for everything. And yet, the way that she's replying to messages, she doesn't seem like someone who is terrified of him. She doesn't seem like someone who is scared of him. So going throughout the years, they almost used this, Elaine almost did this, like going month by month. But going to December 2014, Amber Heard is saying that by this time, she started standing up for herself. She started defending herself. And I will tell you here one thing, which from my personal experience, whilst I was in a DV relationship, I will tell you one thing. There was a point, one instance, where I just had enough of him doing the things that he did to me, and I stood up for myself. And that was the first and the last time that I did that, because it just set him off even worse. It was one instance where I didn't hit him. He was about to hit me and I held his hand so he doesn't hit me. And that completely sent him off the hook. So I can clearly say that standing up for yourself in a DV relationship, from my personal experience, is a no-no. There is no such thing as standing up for yourself in the DV relationship. You would be too terrified to do it. I did it once, in one instance, one arm grab, and I never did it again. And I was completely terrified when I did it. But that was the first and the last time that I did it. He made sure of that I'm not gonna try it again. And this is the case with a lot of the aggressors in these DV relationships. And so I don't believe that by December 2014, if Amber would have been a victim of DV, she wouldn't have been petrified and terrified enough of him not to stand up for herself. You don't go 2 or 3 years into the relationship, into an aggressive relationship at that, where you don't stand up for yourself, and then all of a sudden you do. That's not, I don't think that's how it works. I don't think, because in that long time you are already conditioned and manipulated and petrified enough to know that no, you can't do that, because it will just make things 100 times worse. This is how I see it from my personal experience. And again, I want to go back to to Amber's friend Rocky Pennington, and also Amber's sister living in the penthouses in the same building as Amber and Johnny. And I think that in most situations, when you have an aggressor in a DV relationship, they don't really move in the victim's family so close to them, because we all know in most situations that the DV stays in the relationship without anybody from the outside knowing about it or seeing about it or hearing about it. So it wouldn't make sense for an aggressor, if we are to think it's Johnny, that he would invite her best friend and her sister to live with them on the same floor, because you will hear things, if it's a DV relationship, you do hear things, especially as Amber explained, that one penthouse leads into another penthouse, so you kind of have connecting doors from penthouse to penthouse. So it's very hard for me to believe that Johnny is the aggressor here, and it's also very easy for me to believe that Amber is the aggressor here, because the traits, they are just there for her being the aggressor and for Johnny being the victim. The traits, the behavior, the manipulation tactics, the way that she speaks with him. Was it a toxic relationship? Definitely, 100%. They were toxic to each other. However, I do firmly believe, and this just reinforces my belief, that Johnny is a victim of DV. So because, guys, I know that I keep mentioning this wiping the nose thing with a tissue, I am going to show you an instance where I found that she's genuinely wiping her nose, and that looks natural and that looks normal. And that's the reason why I kept on going back to the wiping the nose thing, because I want to show this to you as a comparison.
And
okay, and now we have here, I think this is the last time that I'm gonna mention it, the weird wiping thing. For the life of me, I cannot understand why would you wipe yourself like this, like with the tissue here.
I couldn't breathe. I couldn't get through to him.
What is that? Unless she was trying to not be too noticeable, but kind of try to smear something around her eyes to make her cry. I'm getting back to that same theory, because this wiping motion just doesn't make sense to me, unless she was trying to get something close to her eyes to make her tear up, but she couldn't be quite obvious, because each time that she's wiping this nose and she's doing this completely weird motions with the tissue, she kind of looks to the jury, she kind of looks to the judge to see maybe they spotted something, something off there. So she's kind of like sneaky, being sneaky in her behavior. Whereas when she wiped her nose normally, like a normal person would do, she was completely fine. But this motion here, the only way I can think about it is that she did indeed have something smeared on her tissue, and because she was trying throughout the whole day so hard to cry and make herself cry that there were just no tears out of her eyes, so maybe she did this to kind of try to get her tearing up, and by the end of the day she managed to tear up by the end of the day. So I honestly believe that she was rubbing something to make her cry. So obviously that they got to the conversation of the Australia trip and the SA. So Amber Heard is going through her version of events and describing what happened, and she said that she went to sleep after the assault. She said that she went to sleep barricading herself in her room. Now again, this just reinforces my theory that she is indeed checking headlines, because I remember clearly reading a few articles where there was mention that a victim of DV, they are too scared to even go to sleep, so they would basically lock themselves up in their room and such. And now Amber comes up with this story that she barricaded herself in her room. Yeah, she went into very fine details of describing what happened during that awful night in Australia when Johnny got his finger severed. I'm not gonna go into all of the specifics. I'm just gonna give you, a small overview of it. So she's saying that when he SA'd her, he was threatening to kill her. She was petrified of it. She was so scared. He dragged her by the hair on the floor, kind of sliding with her on the floor. Then he got on top of her on the table, on the ping pong table I believe it was, and that's how the table broke, because he got on top of her and then he was choking her. And then at one point she was on the bar with her breasts up, and that's when he proceeded to SA her. And check this out, she believed that he was actually using his fist when he SA'd her. She didn't think that he was using a bottle, because she kept on seeing his motion of the hands, like in and out, and she believed that he was using his fist. And he got so deep inside that he was touching her bone on the inside, and she only realized that he used the bottle after he showed her, I believe she said. Now there are quite a few things that I'm having issues with here. First of all, she said that she believed he used, so she also said that it wasn't painful for her. She didn't feel anything. It was just uncomfortable, but it wasn't painful. So first of all, she said that she believed that Johnny used his fist when he SA'd her. Johnny, who has rings, yeah, but she couldn't tell, and she just felt uncomfortable, but it wasn't quite painful. So you are trying to tell me that the man is using his fist with all of the rings on, touching your bone on the inside, and you don't feel pain? You just feel uncomfort? I am honestly really struggling to believe that. And then also she said that he threatened to kill her, of course, when he SA'd her. She also said that she felt nothing when he SA'd her. Now that the most interesting part to me is the fist situation. How can you say that you felt no pain and you felt nothing when you were SA'd, when you thought that the fist with rings on was being pushed against your bone inside? And then she only realized that it was a bottle after he showed her. So wouldn't you be able to tell the difference in sensation between a bottle and a fist? She also said that the bottle was kind of square. These are some very fine details that she is remembering, yet when it comes to remembering other proper details, she says that she can't remember, which again kind of goes against each other. It doesn't make sense. Then her being dragged on the floor by the hair, that would leave chunks and chunks of hair, thinking that she's being pulled on the floor by the hair which means that he's basically pulling her whole weight by her hair. So there would be chunks of hair missing, bald patches, yet she doesn't have any chunks of hair missing, she doesn't have any bald patches. And the interesting thing is that she says she had cuts on her forearms, and obviously she also shows a photo of this. However, there is an audio recording of, I think it was Ben, I think he was the house manager of Johnny, where he told Christy over the phone that he's seen this type of injuries before and they definitely look self-inflicted. So she's probably done those scratches to herself. Yeah, of course, she also mentioned that she had cuts on the bottoms of her feet because of all the broken glass on the floor, and because she was dragged. She said that she had marks on her back as well. She said that she had marks under her jaw from when Johnny was choking her, because apparently whilst he was assailing her, he was also choking her. And whilst he was on top of her on the table, he was also choking her. So there are a lot of things which just don't make sense, in the sense that you are trying to picture this, but it just kind of sounds like a movie scene. It doesn't sound like something which is natural and normal in a situation like this. I mean, this is the way I see it. Yes, I know that SA and DV comes in many different shapes and forms. However, when you relate the story as a victim, the way that you relate the story does not align with the way that she is relaying the story. She is just not believable when she says the story. Okay, so there was an instance in the courtroom on Thursday before they went on break. It was very interesting to see how she was acting, so scared and so petrified of Johnny that when she got off of the stand and Johnny came into her direction, she kind of pulled back and she was like, and she just went down there in the corner, and she almost, knocked over a pole behind her, and I'm so scared. She didn't do exactly that, but I'm just doing it like that. She made herself so scared, yet by the end of the day of the courtroom, she wasn't that scared to try and go into Johnny's black SUV. There was a video which was published online which showed Amber by the end of Thursday, when they finished, when she left the courtroom, she headed straight to Johnny's black SUV, to the point where her assistant actually had to tell her that that's not the car she needs to go to. So this is how scared she was of Johnny, that she went to his SUV. Can you believe that?
Guys, thanks so much for all your help.
No problem. Thanks for the recommendation. No problem.
Oh, not our car, not our car.
It's right here.
Sorry. I'm just gonna get that would have been interesting.
Yes, she went to his SUV. It's just mind-boggling, honestly. It's just mind-blowing. She was also asked by Elaine if she ever played the guitar, to which she said that she never played the guitar, but that has been debunked, I believe. There are a couple of clips on TikTok how she played the guitar when she was, I think it was before she was with Johnny. So again, we just kind of can see this lying from her.
To play a guitar.
I've never played the guitar.
So yeah, I mentioned the phone recording. So whilst in Australia there was like a 5-hour long recording, and this was the aftermath of their fight where Johnny got his finger severed. She is actually blaming Johnny for the recording. So she said that Johnny took her iPhone and recorded, but then her phone was dead on the stand. So again, the recording, like I said, was 5 hours long. So I'm wondering, would the phone really hold the battery for 5 hours of recording? And then also her saying that Johnny took her phone and he pressed the record, but then her phone was dead on the stand. So at the same time he pressed record on her phone, but her phone was dead. Again, there are things which don't make sense. Yes, and she also said that Johnny was the one who actually put the cigarette on his own face. You remember that when he was with the severed finger in the photo, he also had a mark on his face. So they get married, right? And then later on, so she says that they get married, right? So later on in 2015, she says that she found a message on Johnny's iPad of him talking to a woman who he was with at the beginning of their relationship, of Johnny's and Amber's relationship. After they got married, after their wedding, apparently he went to the woman's house and they had a sensual relationship. So two issues here I'm just going to point out. One, why would you even go to the length of checking your partner's iPad? I don't do that. I don't usually do that, and I don't think it's healthy in a relationship for this to be done. It just gives you paranoia, honestly, and then you don't trust your partner. It just shows lack of trust, lack of everything, really. Invasion of privacy as well. Then number two that I'm struggling with, she also said that she confronted him about the message, but he was passed out when she checked his iPad. So she checked his iPad, she confronted him, but he was passed out. Again, it doesn't quite make sense. When she talks about her essay, I think that she's trying to fake a panic attack, and it's quite, how can I say, it's quite offensive to all those people suffering from panic attacks, from real panic attacks, and it's very offensive to real victims of DV for her to attempt and show herself as a victim, because everything, in my eyes, everything that she says and the way that she's describing it is as if she's taken it from a manual, or perhaps watched a program of how victims of DV behave, of how you are in a panic attack when you have a panic attack. Yes, I agree that everyone, reacts differently in a panic attack, but I just think that she was faking it. Like I said, she's constantly using these technical terms, like getting flashes, how she can't remember how she doesn't remember the sequence of events. This is something like that I believe that she took from Dr. Hughes' testimony on the stand. All these technical terms and technical things, like she did, Dr. Hughes described a DV victim, and now she's trying to take all these bits and pieces to portray herself as the DV victim. She mentions flashbacks, flashes. So you normally get flashes when you have PTSD, you get flashes when you are a victim of DV, for example. Then you don't remember everything, or you remember detail but you don't remember specific details, just like Dr. Hughes was mentioning. Then also you don't necessarily remember the sequence of events, but she makes sure to point this out, whilst to understand that she doesn't remember the sequence of events. I don't see the need for her to do that. If she's genuine, I don't see why she needs to do that. And again, I'm going back, she's just circling too much around the same things. So she's basically repeating the same things over and over again. That's why it's very draining watching it. At the end of it, really, you just don't get any new information out of it. You get basically almost nothing out of it. Like I said, you feel like you spent half an hour with her replying to one question, and by the end of it, what was the question? What was the answer to that question? You just get nothing, no value whatsoever in that. And it's always the same repetitive things. Johnny's controlling, Johnny's aggressive, Johnny's violent, Johnny was jealous, Johnny was high, Johnny passed out. Everything is negative about Johnny. There is no instance where she takes blame for anything. Everything is negative about Johnny. Everything is Johnny's fault. Nothing is her fault. Nothing is her fault at all. She was perfect. Johnny was the bad guy here. She did nothing wrong. So yeah, she said that she was head-butted. She had black eyes. She had a broken nose. She had chunks of her hair missing. She had bald patches. She even showed photos of that. Yet, the very next day, I believe, she went on a show where absolutely nothing was seen. No injuries that she mentioned, which is very interesting, very, very interesting. So she's showing these photos of allegedly her being bruised, her with a black eye, with a busted lip, her with some bruises here, her with, you know, apparently a bald patch, which looks nothing like a bald patch, if I'm honest with you. And the hair, the amount of hair that she calls it a chunk of hair, where Johnny ripped her hair out, she shows that in the photo, even with a finger comparison, and that looks nothing like a chunk of hair. That looks just like some hair you take off your brush after you brush your hair. Physically, I think, and I'm no scientist here, but physically I think when you get pulled by your hair, the whole weight pulls on your hair, and when you get dragged and pulled by your hair through the entire floor, you will have much more hair missing, not just that tiny bit of hair. You will have much more hair missing, I think, and I'm no scientist, I'm no professional, I'm no doctor, no nothing like that. And again, I am going to say that I don't think as a victim of DV you would take photos whilst you are still in the relationship with the aggressor. I am saying this from my own experience. I think I would be too terrified to even think about taking a photo, and to even think that he might be able to find that photo, because he would, oh for God's sake, because I would think that he would just kill me if he would find that photo. I mean, honestly, when I was in the DV relationship, I couldn't even look at another man on the street just to, you know, say hello or anything like that, because he would be seen like, oh my God, you know, extreme rage and jealousy, like you have something to do with him, you are cheating on me with him. So all these kind of things. So it kind of makes you like, you don't even want to look at anyone else, because you're just too scared of the reaction. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking, as a victim of DV, would you really take photos? I'm not sure. I am not sure, but I think that me personally, I would never have thought to take photos of my injuries. Yeah, of course that Johnny gave her a busted lip as well in that altercation where she got black eyes, broken nose, and these kind of things. But it's already known that she is constantly biting her lips. So the busted lip that she's showing in the photo looks nothing like a busted lip from being hit and from your aggressor biting, you know, busting your lip. Those just look like maybe bite marks. I always do it. I always bite my lip until the point that it's bleeding, and then when you start talking, it kind of cracks, and then you get the blood pouring out, because it kind of dries on the outside, and then it cracks, and then the blood is you know, coming out of it. So yeah, with busted lips it happens. But the most interesting thing is that she said that the next day, with all of her injuries, her bruising, her swelling, her patches of hair, her, you know, the bald patches in her head, she went on the show. She managed to cover all of her bruises with the help of the stylist and the makeup and everything else. And also, that's particularly why they used such a color on her lips, the red lipstick, because it was the only color which would have covered her busted lip. Now, one thing, she says that red lipstick color is not her favorite, but that's what they used. However, she says that she doesn't really take it to that particular color. However, over time there are so many photos of her wearing that same color of lipstick, and then the stylist who did her makeup already debunked her lie about it, because when she went on the show, when the stylist did her makeup, she had absolutely no bruising whatsoever. And quite honestly, can you really cover swelling with makeup? I'm not sure that it works that way. I don't think you can cover swelling with makeup. And bruising, I don't think that you can cover completely bruising with makeup, especially the bruising from the previous night, because when you wake up in the morning, it just looks horrible and all swollen and everything. Her nose looked perfectly fine. There was no sign of a broken nose there. So yeah, I think she's just bullshitting. So I think that pretty much this just covers up, you know, what was on the stand, what she talked about on the stand. Now, the trial was supposed to be going ahead this week as well. However, the judge has another court appearance. So the court returns on the 16th of May, and then on the 26th of May are the closing arguments in the trial before the case is being sent to the jury for deliberation. So yeah, that will be interesting to see. Now we have 1 week of a break, then we are getting back into court on the 16th of May, and this everything will be finished by the end of May. I am really happy that this 1 week gives Johnny Depp's lawyers enough time to gather even more information before the cross-examination. Again, I can't say it enough how I'm so looking forward to this cross-examination. I think that she's going to be crushed on the stand. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please let me know what do you think in the comment section down below. I also have a Patreon account. The link will be on your screen and also in the description. It's 18 plus. There are 3 different tier levels. We normally talk about 18 plus things on there, which for obvious reasons we can't on YouTube. This will have also crime scene photos included and basically everything that we can't talk on YouTube. So if you want, you can go and check it out. Again, the link is in the description below as well. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing. It really helps me, and also make sure you have the notification bells on so you are notified of any new videos I upload. Also, give this video a thumbs up. It really shows your appreciation for the channel, and it does really help the channel in spreading the videos on YouTube, so that more people get to see the videos and to bring awareness to the cases I talk about and also to the channel. Thank you so much guys, take care and stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.